I'm making my famous banana pudding. Some people like to make theirs in a pan and you like to boil it down. And sometimes for time, you can literally just put milk into the mixture and it sets just fine. But you do have to add some things to it. So one of the things that we're gonna show you on the screen is I use French vanilla pudding. I do not use regular vanilla pudding, okay? So it's gonna come out a lot more yellow. So in order to offset that, I take a little bit of whipped cream, which I've already made here, and I add it into my mixture. So I've already kind of preset this. So you're gonna have your pudding, which you can already see here. And then I'm gonna put just a little bit of my whipped cream just to give it a little bit of a lighter color, okay?
Why are you trying to give it a lighter color? You want it to be light skinned?
No, I did not want it to be light skinned because I'm using French vanilla pudding. It's so yellow that it actually looks like honey mustard. And so I don't want it to be confused with any other dish. So that's why I kind of make it a little bit lighter.
I just had to add.
Yes, and so to make my whipped cream, so I'm actually gonna be making this dish decorated. So I'm gonna be doing a layered banana pudding and then a lot of cookies in between. So I want that to look nice inside of a clear bowl. So you want this to be a little bit soupy. So if you can see, I've already kind of preset this. I put dollops of whipped cream and then I take milk. Either you can do heavy whipping cream, but I do full, like you need real milk, okay? You cannot use almond milk, you guys. It's not the fake stuff. And I just keep whipping this.
So this can't be made vegan?
No, you cannot make this vegan. And if you do try, it'll still just lump up and it won't be as nice. So I kind of just make that dollop and I beat this a little bit until it's nice and silky. All right, you guys, so now that you've made your whipped cream, so that's nice and liquidy, you want to be able to do this, okay? So now you can move on to your pudding. So with your pudding, as I'll show you, I'm gonna whisk this. You can use a spoon, but it will leave lumps in the
little
pudding.
baby whisk.
My whisk is this big. And the reason that it's this small, because if you use a larger one, it's going to come out of your bowl, okay? And so that's why I kind of take it to the side. I keep my spoon in here, and then I go around like this, so that I'm also getting those sides.
Okay. Whip it real hard.
So now you see it's a lot lighter color. And if you see around my edges, that's where your French vanilla pudding is a little bit darker. So sometimes if it's too thick, you can keep adding milk. It's usually a ratio of 2 cups of milk per your setting of amount of pudding powder that you are using, but it always takes a lot more because you want it to set a lot thinner inside of your bowl. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just listening. I'm trying to learn because you know I don't do desserts.
And at this time, you can also have somebody, if you have a little helper, your kid or a husband or a co-chef, here. You can have them cut the bananas. Do you want to do the bananas?
I'll cut some.
Oh, thank you. Please, please.
Remember Lil Jon had that song, Cut Something? How I'm supposed to cut it?
Okay, so you
she talk about me. That's what women do. They just cut the bananas and then you cut them. I didn't mean cut them like that.
And we do because we expect you to read our minds by now. So with your bananas, you don't want them too thick because some people really don't even like the bananas in the banana pudding. They just want the vanilla pudding, which is always really strange.
They just want the sugar.
Right, so you can make them really thin or thick. So I make them 1/2 of an inch thick, okay?
I ain't got no ruler.
This big.
Oh, hold on,
Let me see. Yes, that is perfect.
That's perfect.
That's perfect.
Look like an apricot.
So now with this, take your clear container. If you're making a larger one, it doesn't matter how big or how shallow it is. You just make enough for the people that you're actually feeding. So these I like to make individual because I want people to be able to take these home. And there's already a ton of stuff in the refrigerator. Small, and everybody doesn't need to take this. So I'm going to put, actually first, in the bottom, I'm going to take my vanilla wafers, as you can see here, and the magic ingredient, Chessmen Cookies. As you can see, Pepperidge Farm, these are the ones that I use to make it into my shortbread cake, okay? So I'm gonna set the bottom, and these are the mini ones. If I have a larger container, you can use the regular size vanilla wafers, but I use the small ones because you want them to cover evenly, and you want it to look pretty as well. So I'm just gonna cover those. It doesn't matter how you... Men do. They do one thing and they want a trophy. Look at him. Look what I did.
Give me some credit.
Give me credit.
When credit is due.
So now I'm going to take my spoon, and of course your cookies are going to come a little bit messy at the bottom, but that's okay because you're going to do another layer of whipped cream over top of that. So I lightly dollop over the top. You don't want to splash it in there so that your cookies come completely undone, okay?
Okay.
So I'll put a little bit, and then I'm just gonna smooth this. Now, this doesn't have a specific technique, but I kind of just go around the sides because you don't want it to rise because then your layers will not look pretty. So I just want it a little bit, and I want to make sure I'm pressing down on the sides as I go around, okay?
Okay.
So now you can see that I'm smoothing it all the way around, and then I come around to the middle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do my bananas next, because then when you put your whipped cream over top of that and it sets, it'll seep all the way down the sides. It'll be really nice. So I place these individually. I don't just push them in there with a knife, because I learned my lesson. So I thought I was gonna be all Rico Suave and just put them in there, and I knocked my cutting board out of my hand and then I ruined it. So I know from now on, slow is better. All right, so now I'm just still placing my bananas, and you don't have to have them in any type of particular shape or anything like that. Just enough so that it covers majority of the pudding, and you'll see why in just a minute. I'm gonna take a little bit of my whipped cream, and I can just pour this over top of it because this one's more liquidy.
Okay.
So you see how it's set? You don't need a lot of this, okay? You just need a little bit, because once it sits, it will go around to your edges, okay? So then set this down gently, because I'm aggressive, you guys. I just throw stuff on the table sometimes. I feel like you said something, but I'm not sure, so I won't accuse you. Okay, so now I'm just smoothing this around. Again, I said you don't need a ton of it. So I'm gonna show you what this looks like already from the sides. So you can already see that
it looks almost like
layer.
a lemon meringue pie or something.
It does, it does. And so that's, again, why I take that color down, because it will look like honey mustard. Okay, so now I'm gonna do another layer of my vanilla wafers.
So it's like making a lasagna for cookies.
Yes, it is like making a lasagna for cookies.
Okay.
And it's gonna be beautifully sweet and so tasty. And it's okay if it sinks in, because that's not gonna really matter. What's gonna really matter is when you actually finish it at the top, because that's what you want it to look really good. And I'm gonna crumble my cookies up over the top of it as well, so it looks like I made a whole cake. So for these, if you're using a circular pan or a circular dish, make sure you put these in a circular fashion so you see that it looks even as well. And even if it's only a small bit of cookie, that's fine too. Okay. So for this one, put a little bit sitting on the top. And that's okay if it mushes apart, that's all right. All right, now I'm gonna actually take this spoon here, this clean one, and the reason you're using a clean one is because if you use the same one and you keep messing over it, it will ruin your layers. All right, you guys, now I told you there was something a little different about this banana pudding. We're actually gonna use the Chessmen Cookies from the Pepperidge Farm, and the reason you're doing this, like I said in the beginning, is because it's gonna make that shortbread kind of a cookie cake for your banana pudding. But the thing is, you have to put it in the refrigerator for at least 5 to 6 hours, because that's the only way it's gonna kind of become soft. If you don't, then you're just gonna break into the cookie, and it's like you're digging your spoon into basically a sheet of cookie. So I'm gonna show you all our mixture. So you see you've done your layers, and I'll show you one that is already pretty much set before we decorated at the top. And you see your layers here. You have your cookies, you have your pudding, you have, of course, your bananas, then your whipped cream, and then you keep going, okay?
So what is 3 layers?
So it's 3 layers and then continue, yeah.
Y'all know how I knew that, right?
How'd you know that?
Because you only need 3 ingredients.
And if you watch the show, you guys know that I try to keep it down to 3 main things that you're actually gonna use. So now I'm just placing my cookies. Now, one thing that I do like to do is I like to crunch them up, because that flavor, when you break those cookies apart and you take that full bite, there is just nothing better, you guys. So I put it right here, and I'm gonna just break up a couple. You can half it, quarter it, and kind of just push it around like that. All right. And I try to make sure I'm covering the sides on this part. Then I'm gonna continue to do the same thing, and I'll layer up and it'll look just like this. So stay tuned, because we're gonna be looking at these awesome chicken wings, and I can't wait to taste the sauce. So eat, drink, and
handle your business. You got to do that. And see, I like these right here. Cause, you know what I'm saying, you can do the little, you already know what mine gonna say.
those are so cute. Wait.
Talk to me.
Oh my God, you guys. How do I work with this guy?
I said I'm crazy about you, baby.